I'm Arthur, and if you've ever checked your bank account, before swiping your card, before filling your gas tank, or before opening an unexpected bill, then you already understand something that many financial experts overlook. The difference between having money and not having money is often much smaller than people think. Sometimes it's only a few $100s. Imagine it's 8:47 on a Wednesday morning. You're driving to work when your car starts making a strange noise. Not a dramatic noise. Not the kind that forces you to pull over. Just enough to make you uncomfortable. Most people assume the problem is the car. But for millions of people, the real problem isn't the car at all. The real problem is uncertainty. Because the moment that noise appears, another question appears alongside it. How much is this going to cost? And more importantly, can I afford it? If the answer is no, the problem immediately becomes bigger than a repair bill. Now you're calculating. Now you're worrying. Now you're hoping the noise somehow disappears on its own. And that reaction reveals something important about money that rarely gets discussed. Financial stress is not created only by large problems. It's often created by the absence of small buffers. This is where the $500 rule begins. Most people hear the number and immediately dismiss it. $500 doesn't sound life-changing. It isn't enough to retire. It isn't enough to buy a house. It isn't enough to transform your lifestyle. But that's exactly why it's so important. Because the first $500 doesn't change your wealth. It changes your options, and options change behavior. Let's consider two versions of the same person. Both earn the same income. Both live in the same city. Both drive the same car. Both experience the exact same $400 repair bill. The first person has $37 in their checking account. The second person has $537. The repair costs exactly the same amount for both people, yet their experiences are completely different. The first person experiences panic. The second person experiences inconvenience. The bill didn't change. The psychology did. And psychology influences almost every financial decision that follows. This is one of the hidden taxes of living without financial reserves. People often think being broke simply means having less money. In reality, it frequently means paying more for everything. When you don't have savings, emergencies become expensive. A late fee appears. Interest charges begin accumulating. Credit cards bridge the gap. Loans become necessary. Payment plans become attractive. And suddenly, a $400 problem becomes a $600 problem. Not because the original expense was larger, because there was no buffer between the problem and the person experiencing it. Modern financial life quietly punishes people who lack financial flexibility. A missed payment becomes a fee becomes interest becomes debt. Debt creates stress, and stress often leads to worse decisions. This creates a cycle that can feel impossible to escape. What's fascinating is that many people focus entirely on increasing income while overlooking the power of reducing vulnerability. They chase bigger paychecks, promotions, side hustles, additional certifications. And while higher income is valuable, it doesn't automatically solve the underlying issue. Because if every unexpected expense still creates a crisis, the psychological experience remains largely unchanged. This is why the first $500 matters. It represents the moment where life becomes slightly less fragile. Not secure, not wealthy. Just less fragile. And that distinction matters more than most people realize. Researchers studying financial stress have repeatedly found that scarcity affects decision-making. When people constantly worry about money, their attention narrows. They focus on immediate problems. Long-term planning becomes more difficult. Future goals become harder to prioritize. The brain becomes occupied with survival. This isn't a character flaw. It's a predictable human response. Imagine trying to plan a 5-year financial strategy while simultaneously wondering whether you'll have enough money for groceries next week. One challenge naturally dominates the other. The future becomes difficult to think about when the present feels unstable. The first $500 begins creating room for the future to exist again, and that's where the real transformation begins. The most interesting thing about financial progress is that it rarely starts with investing. Most financial content jumps directly to compound interest, index funds, retirement accounts, passive income, portfolio allocation, but those strategies depend on something that comes first: stability. You cannot consistently invest money that constantly gets redirected toward emergencies. You cannot build long-term wealth while fighting short-term financial fires every month. The first $500 isn't an investment strategy. It's the foundation that makes investment strategies possible. Think about how differently people behave when they know they have a small reserve available. They become less reactive, less desperate, more patient, more deliberate. They begin comparing options instead of accepting the first solution available. They gain the ability to pause. And that pause is incredibly valuable, because many costly financial mistakes happen when people feel pressured. They take unfavorable loans because they need money immediately. They finance purchases because they lack alternatives. They accept expensive solutions because they don't have time to evaluate better ones. Financial reserves create breathing room. Breathing room creates better decisions. And better decisions compound over time. That's why the $500 rule isn't really about the money itself. It's about what the money allows you to do. Or perhaps more accurately, what it allows you to stop doing. You stop living in constant reaction mode. You stop treating every unexpected expense like a disaster. You stop feeling trapped by every minor setback. The number itself is less important than the shift it creates, because once someone experiences that shift, something interesting happens. The goalposts begin moving. The first $500 becomes the first $1,000. The first $1,000 becomes 3 months of expenses, then 6 months, then investments, then long-term wealth. Most strong financial lives begin with surprisingly small victories, not dramatic transformations, not lottery tickets, not overnight success, small moments of stability, small moments of control, small moments where panic is replaced with options. The people who eventually achieve meaningful financial freedom often don't begin by becoming wealthy. They begin by becoming less vulnerable. They create enough margin to think clearly, enough margin to make intentional decisions, enough margin to stop solving today's problem with tomorrow's money. And once that foundation exists, everything else becomes easier. Saving becomes easier, investing becomes easier, planning becomes easier, even earning more becomes easier, because financial stress no longer dominates every decision. This is why the first $500 changes more than people expect. Not because it changes your net worth, not because it changes your lifestyle, not because anyone else notices, but because it changes your relationship with uncertainty. The next time the car makes a strange noise, the next time an unexpected bill arrives, the next time life presents a problem that costs money, you stop asking, how am I going to survive this? And start asking, what's the smartest way to handle this? That sounds like a small difference, until you realize that nearly every strong financial future is built on thousands of moments exactly like that. Because wealth doesn't begin when someone becomes rich. It begins when someone gains enough stability to make decisions from a position of choice rather than fear. And for many people, that journey starts with a surprisingly ordinary number, $500. Not because $500 makes you wealthy, but because it gives you something even more valuable, a little room to think, and sometimes that small amount of breathing room changes everything. If you found this perspective valuable, subscribe and join me for the next exploration into money, wealth, and human behavior. I'm Arthur, and as always, think long-term.